Hello, viewers. Thank you for joining us once again. Thank you for joining this channel, Hello World. My name is Bossman. As usual, I will be your host for today. I want to thank everyone who sent in one feedback or questions, or the other. Thank you so much for your encouragement. Continue to watch this channel. If you have not subscribed, please do so today and turn on the notification so that you can get notification when we have a new video. It's been exciting for me and my guests. We've been exploring relocation to Canada and tips and tricks. Like I said, we'll be going to do a lot of things, experience, working here, how to start, and so on. But today I have a very good friend of mine with me. I'm excited to have him here. I wouldn't want to introduce him. I want him to introduce himself. So welcome here.
Thank you so much.
Can you tell us, introduce yourself or tell us about yourself?
Well, my name is Kayode Oladipo. I've been very good friends with Bosun, way back before we even came to Canada. We actually met in Nigeria, not physically though, but we met online, and we both had, similar experience of relocation to Canada, and we decided to keep in touch, share ideas, share processes, information about each other, what stage you were, what stage I was, and what others were actually experiencing as at that point in time. So that's how we met. Fortunately, we both got our permanent residency about the same time, and we landed about the same time to Canada. So once again, like I said, my name is Kayode Oladipo, and I'm a very good friend to Bosun, which I used to call Boss Kana then.
Yeah, Boss Kana, like you said, we met on a forum, and I love to talk about this a bit because, sometimes back before I even came to Canada, we, have this notion that Nigerians are bad,
Yeah.
and when you go online, you don't want to interact with Nigerians. But it's one, I met like 2-3 people, but it's one that I would say we keep the friendship.
Yeah.
And it makes me tell people that, it's not all Nigerians are bad, they are good Nigerians. So don't be afraid to go to some online forum, if you need to learn, make friends and all those things. It goes a really a long way. So, that would have been my second question anyway. But I will go to, so that we hit, the meat of the stuff as we go. Now, my second question, or getting into the meat of the whole thing is, how has been your experience, coming to Canada? Let's look back at, before you came, and, how has been your experience?
Well, I would say my experience has been a memorable one. Based on the fact that, coming into Canada was a different challenge on its own when you want to compare it back home, like having somebody to nominate you. And luckily for me, I got nominated by a very good friend, a very good family friend. I actually used the provincial nominee program to come into Canada, and that took a while. Then there wasn't anything like Federal Express entry. I started the application in 2013. So I was nominated, took a while. From there, it was sent over to the federal level, whereby they had to do their own, administrative job based on medical, criminality history, and stuff like that.
Right.
But before that period of landing, there was the challenges back home also, whereby, I can remember very well, I was using Swift network to subscribe for internet on a monthly basis. I know how expensive it was to keep myself updated online, and I can also vividly remember how I usually check my emails. Any email that come in, including my spam mails, I read everything to ensure that I was actually up to date as regards relocating to Canada. I didn't want to miss anything because, the beauty of this forum also is that, which you mentioned earlier, is that you get informed, you get to understand and learn from other people's mistakes.
Right.
Now in that forum, not just that one that we met, other forums you tend to read about how, a letter was sent to someone and they missed the letter, and based on that their nomination period elapsed and they couldn't move further. They had to reapply, or they sent an email for them to accept or do certain process which actually fell into their spam folders and they couldn't get it. So several factors which I only got to know because I was actively involved in those forums. So based on that information that I learned in forums, I actually wanted to make sure I dot all my I's and cross all my T's as regards this process. So coming in, it had its own challenges back home, but with determination and perseverance, one would always overcome. Never lose focus of what you want. Don't ever get tired or weary. It might be daunting for some people, it might be a piece of cake for some people, fingers are not equal, but don't lose hope and just keep your mind set, focused on your goal. That was the part that I actually experienced in coming in. And I remember coming into Canada. Initially, it was a beautiful experience to date, right? To date, the friend that nominated me through the provincial nominee program, this keeps making me laugh, and I will never forget this scenario, honestly. Before coming in, we talk, we send emails, we communicate and all that. And he told me that, look, when you're coming in, ensure you buy some winter jackets and all that and all that. And I'm like, okay, no problem. So the plan all along was, as soon as we were leaving Nigeria, we started the process in 2013, like I said. We got nominated in 2015 and we came in the same year, 2015. Our landing date was actually April the 3rd. We came in through Quebec. Now, we landed in Quebec. There wasn't any flight coming to Winnipeg. For me, I call it winning Winnipeg in Manitoba. That was the province that nominated me through my friend. There wasn't any flight coming into Winnipeg that day that we landed. So the first flight the next morning was our date of coming into the province which we were nominated. So I remember very well, he picked us up at the airport. We put our jackets on, the one we got from UK, thinking that yes, it was okay and all that. This was in April, not in January or February, in April. And like I remember, getting our luggage off from the airport, and we were walking towards the car park, which was opposite the airport itself, the arrival section. So we walked through the revolving door, and there was this cold breeze that hit me. It was like 1,000 slaps, hitting me all at once. I can remember running back here and shouting, what was that? Till date, I couldn't believe, that people, were living in such cold. And this was in April. I'm not talking about January or February. This was in April. But that was something that was unique, It was at the same time, it was a shocker that this is actually happening. But it's in a scale of 1 to 10. My experience so far in Canada, if I'm going to score it, is 8.
Okay. So my next question is an interesting question, and I've seen a lot of people asking me this question. And the question is about people. They will call me and say, okay, they are ready to come, but they are skeptical. They've read stories, they've listened to people. They've seen videos where it seems people come here, especially Nigerians, Africans, and they do many a job. Like they are just living by to survive, and they feel like, should they come and start suffering? So,
oh no. The question you just asked is a very sensitive, question, and people have different opinions as regards this and different experiences individually, But I feel there are several factors that affect that. I'm going to share my own experience, with you as regards and with your listeners too, so that they understand that hey, it's not everyone that comes here that would do a menial job. No, we have very brilliant success stories, and these are things that could be verified about our people. It's not the case. I totally disagree. I in fact, if there's any figure that is more than 100, I would say 150% more than. It's not true. It's not true. Look, our ethics, our way of working back home to how they work here, they are two separate facts. The way we do things in Nigeria back home, the formal sector, and the way they do things here, even in their informal and formal sectors, are two different paths. Like I said, I used to work in the banking industry, right? I could go for break 30 minutes, 1 hour for my lunch break and all that. Different ways that you would be working based on your productivity. It's not the same here. The system here times you for everything. You get paid on productivity. There's no free lunch anywhere. You understand? You just need to be productive. You need to contribute. No matter the job you do, everything is timed. My experience, and again, before I forget this, when you land, the people you move with, they would have a very big impact with you on your life and on your way forward. If you are, don't get me wrong, if you are with somebody that will be telling you that, you need to start as a cab driver, make some income, or you start as a healthcare worker, or you do whatever job, menial job, I'm saying it's not a bad thing. It could be a starting job to get yourself into the system, but you shouldn't put your mindset in that particular path. It's not your path, and it's not true that, there's no job, the only job Africans do is to do menial jobs, lift operators, and all that. No, it's not true. My experience, I came in, my first job was in a financial company. They basically give out loans online to people that apply. It wasn't a high paying job, but a shocker to me, an experience that I got was that people that were like working under me back home, they were now like my superiors. And here, age has nothing to do with your superiority.
Correct.
So it was a shocker that somebody that was way younger than me was my supervisor. I found that very strange. Like, how is this possible? But it's a fact of life that I had to adjust to.
Right.
Now, based on the fact that there was an age difference, the respect was very cordial. There wasn't any form of intimidation from him and her. Everything was going on smoothly. I've worked in several financial institutions. In fact, I've worked in two biggest banks in Canada, and I resigned willingly from those financial institutions. I'm talking about in Canada, we have top 5. I've worked in the top 2 biggest banks. I had a very good position. I was doing okay. All within the space of how many years?
Right.
So the fact right now I'm actually working with the government. You understand? So the fact that you come in here, you will be doing a manual job, I totally disagree with that. It's not possible. You don't put your mindset in that. Look, there are people that come in here within a month or two, they get very good lucrative jobs.
Correct.
There are people that come in here, it takes them maybe 6 months, 1 year, they get a good job. But like I said before, it's all about focus. You don't, accept what you have as the ultimate. Okay, I can't do more than a security guard or a lift operator, a janitor, a cab driver. The money is coming in. Even if you do that, it's what you enjoy doing, right? But the perception is, this is what I love. It's different from, you can never get, above that.
Right.
No, it's not true. I totally disagree with that. And please, if you're listening, it's not the case. We get good jobs here. The sky is the ultimate. Canada is still a virgin land. It's growing. It's evolving. They need people with ideas, people that will innovate the system, will build the system. And I encourage everyone that want to please go ahead and follow their dreams. It's a better place for you to live, health-wise, benefit-wise, job-wise, security-wise. Please do not listen to those people that say, you can never do better than, menial jobs in Canada. It's not true. Focus once again and move with your aspirations.
Thank you so much, Kay. That's the word. Don't listen to naysayer. There are a lot of people, doing good here, doing pretty well, having good jobs. I will be doing, maybe an episode on jobs, exploring jobs in Canada and how to go about it. And you heard from him within the period he came in. He worked with a financial institution, worked with one of the 2 biggest financial institution in Canada, currently work with the government. So the sky is the limit. Thank you so much, Kier, for touching on that.
Thank you.
When you talk about ethics and how Canadians do their own things, is a whole, different things that people need to learn. And we may be doing, a series on that as well, because the quicker you learn that thing when you come, the better it is for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I totally do agree with you. Understanding and adapting to the Canadian lifestyle, how they do things, how they operate both officially and in social engagements, the better for you. So getting used to the etiquette here compared to what we understand back home and how we used to adapt and play and interact, back home is totally different. Like here, you talking to your colleague at work, there's a way you could, address, your colleague, male or female. But in Nigeria, back home, I used to work in the banking industry back home. There are ways and relationship and rapport that we all have within ourselves. But here, there's this, total different concepts that they operate with. You can't talk down on anybody. You have to give respect regardless of who you're speaking with. You call everybody by their first name, even if it's the MD, GMD, CEO. There's no intimidation from anybody, even the janitors, those that sweep, clean. There's this self-respect, which back home we don't, give to people that you feel or you think they don't have the same intellectual capacity like you. So there's this culture of respect, and the quicker you adapt, the quicker you understand the society, the quicker you assimilate, the better it is for you. If you want to be claiming, oh, I used to be Mr. So or Mrs. So, ego and all that, frankly speaking, the Canadian culture doesn't really like that, and I feel, and I strongly advise, it's not something you should be doing. You should respect everyone and respect yourself too. That's just the way to move.
Wow. That's a good one. Now we'll go to the next question, and the question is actually as regards advice for people who are willing or thinking of applying. I know that there are people who have also reached out to me. I will be speaking with a family friend tomorrow about their plan, of applying or starting the application process. And I'm asking this because a lot of people that they are ready, they know that they want to come, they want to apply, but maybe they say have doubt and all those things.
Doubts. my advice to anyone that is thinking of relocating to Canada, once again, I'll say this, looking into the camera, do not think twice about it. My appeal to you is basically start now. Like they say, and I'm telling you with all seriousness and sincerity, is teach, in time saves 9. You don't have to delay in getting your immigration process started. Several things change over the years. Like when I started, right, it was more of paper-based. They improved it to the express entry system, which started, I believe, in January 2015. January 1st, 2015, that was when the express entry program started. It's getting a little bit tougher with the policies and the regulations being enforced by the government. At the same time, I see it as a two-edged sword. Basically, one, for the administration and the effectiveness of the process of immigrating. At the same time, for you, the applicant, you will see it as, another bottleneck. Now, certain rules were not there before. Each rule makes it harder, So let me give you an example to a family friend that, got nominated. And usually you have 6 months to send your application into the federal level. I was speaking with him about 2 months ago, and he was like, I'm going to send my documents in. I don't have the time. This is a recent case. I don't have the time. I'm gathering everything. I would send it in to the federal stage so that they could start the process at the federal level. And my advice to him was that, hey, do not waste time. Why are you you have the documentation already from the provincial level. Why don't you just gather everything, double check, cross all the I's, dot all the T's, and send this in? He was like, okay, I'll get it started. Now he listened, which is very important. He listened to the advice and he started the process and he sent it in. Now, I remember him saying, because he has 4 kids, himself and his spouse, that, oh, it's going to cost him much, right? And it actually took a while to gather the funds. He had to liquidate some shares that he has, some investment to put the money together to send the application in. He paid for everything, the processing fee and all that. Over $2,000, that was what he paid for the processing of those applications. Now, my point is this: because he listened and they actually acted on time, just recently there has been an increment, 50% increment on the processing fee. That would have cost him much more money. And he sent these documents in early last month. And the end of last month, there was an increment by 50%.
Wow.
So there's no point. It's always best to start it on time, be focused, and just go at it. Another incident that I would like to talk about as regards doing what you have to do right now is like the brake tie rule that was put in place by the Federal Express Entry. Before now, there wasn't any tie rule. Basically what it means is you send in your application, right? There's a pool, the Express Entry pool, whereby everyone sends in the application in based on scores. So let's assume you have 510 and I have 500, right? And there's a draw, right? And the draw cutoff mark is, so let me say 3 parties. You have 510, I have 500, and Mr. C has 500. You submitted, you're good. I submitted on today's what? 3rd of May.
Yeah.
And Mr. C submitted on the 5th of May. The draw was done on the 10th of May.
Right.
Okay? So now the draw result comes out and they said 500 is the cutoff mark. So Mr. B, and Mr. C, we are both happy because we both have 500. You have nothing to worry about because you scored 510, right?
Okay.
You're good. They've taken you. But I have 500. Mr. C has 500. So in this situation, what happens is this. There's a break-even tie rule. Meaning, whoever submitted first, as at the close date. So they might say, hey, the break tie rule effective 5th. A day before. So even if you score 500 with me, which is the cutoff point, I submitted way earlier than you.
Yeah.
So you scored, yes, you meet it, but unfortunately, the tie rule has taken you out.
Wow.
So that's why it's important. Do not delay. That's my advice. Start your process. Get it started. Do what you have to do. Don't delay. That's my recommendation.
Wow. That's awesome. The tie rule, I'm hearing it for the first time.
Oh, it's been in, I believe, November 2017.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. So if you know you want to do it, time is of the essence. Please do it now. We'll go to the next question, and this question is very important because sometimes people reach out to me and I see that they focus on just one area. Some people will believe, it's only Manitoba, let's just focus on Manitoba, even if they don't have the qualification or the requirements. But maybe, do you think there are options even, to relocate as permanent residents? And what are few options that you
So I would be talking about, general knowledge, right?
Yeah.
These are information out there. That's why, like you mentioned earlier, forums do help.
Yeah.
Talking to people with advice too also helps. But, there are several ways you could immigrate to Canada. There are several processes, that you could use. So it's about you looking at what best serves your ambition, what best serves your method of immigrating to Canada. So Manitoba is one province. We have several provinces. Every province has its need, its labor needs. You understand the people they are looking for, the kind of jobs that their workforce require to keep the engine of their province going. Like a very good working machine. Skilled and unskilled. So there are several processes you could or someone could use to immigrate to Canada. Apart from the Federal Express Entry, which has several categories in it, right? You could use the provincial also to get in, not just Manitoba. Like I said, other provinces have their various, and those provinces is just not just one aspect. They have several aspect that you could use, to come in. You could use the Canadian Experience class also to get nominated. You could use the study programs, family sponsorship. You could use some humanitarian groups do nominate and sponsor people too. Yeah, just like what happened. I believe this was it 2015, 2016 when Canada were taking in Syrian refugees. That families, communities, church, NGOs, they were sponsoring people in, voluntarily. So there are several ways. It's not just the Federal Express entry, which a lot of people attention is. I'm not saying it's not good.
Right.
It's good. It's the fastest way, but there are several other channels, ways that could be applied to immigrate to Canada.
Okay.
There are several ways. Yeah.
Sounds good. That's good. Well, that will bring me to my next question, which is on. I mean, in doing the application, I've gotten question on, educational level. Does education really matter? That's people will ask, if I have PhD, if I have masters, if I don't have.
Oh my goodness. Well, answering that, my opinion, it's relative. It's a 50-50 situation whereby I'm not saying you that have PhD, you're not better off, but it depends on what stream. We have the federal skilled trade scheme, right? I mean, that your education doesn't mean anything to them. People look at the skilled worker. We also have the skilled trades, right? I mean, like the last one that was done I believe was in October last year, and there's too much attention with education part. Yes, it helps. If that's the route you want to use to come in to immigrate, fine, it's okay. But at the same time, I'm not saying that, if you don't have this education itself, it's not a good, you have no chances. No. Like, there was a recent nomination that was sent out by the Canadian government, program that was sent by the Canadian government saying they need drivers, meat cutters. Do you need a PhD to get that? Do you need masters to get that? So caretakers, caregivers, people that take care of old people, the baby boomers. You don't need education, PhD to get those jobs. That's my opinion. Like I said, let's assume you have a PhD and you're 55. What are your chances of coming in? At that age. I'm not saying it doesn't work.
Right.
It's all about the need and the strategy you want to use to come in. So, like it's a 50-50 thing. It's personalized. It's unique to every situation. You might have it. It might not be useful for your immigration process, and you might not have it. And
Wow. Thank you so much. You've actually touched on my next question, but I will still ask it if you want to add anything before we go on a short break.
Okay.
And the question has to do with, based on your experience or, what we can gather online and things like that. Your interaction with people, do you think there are areas of opportunity in applications that people are not exploring?
Areas of opportunities in the application that are not exploring. Like I mentioned, the skill trade. Right. Some people are not really exploring that aspect. There are other programs, provincial programs, that the governments are actually doing. I'm talking about the federal and provincials too, right? That people are not really exploring. There are several ways you could immigrate to Canada, right? It's about looking at the person. What are your chances? What program suits you? So this information, like I said, public knowledge is something that if you're focused, you could get, and if you need help as regards what to do, they could always reach out to you, and you could also guide them, as to, hey, this is what you need to do. This is my recommendation, my advice. It's a different thing telling somebody, giving an advice, a recommendation, and actually applying it also at different things. Let's be honest, you can push somebody to do the right thing, but it's left to them to actually take the horns by, take the bull by the horns and, run with it.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much for, pointing that out.
Yeah.
And like you rightly said, the idea of this channel is, is free of charge. We are providing this information free of charge. If you need help, you can always reach out to us as much as possible. we will try to help. And what we can also do is to like direct you to, if need be, maybe consultant that can be of help. And these are verified consultants, that will know that they will not cheat you, or they will not work with you just for the money. They will be willing to help you out. Now we'll be going for a short break. Don't change the dial, as they will say. Don't go away. Just stay with us. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. Thank you once again for joining us. It's been an exciting moment for me chatting with Kay. He has given us a lot of information, and thank you for staying tuned. Like I said, if you are watching and you've not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel right now so that you can always get notification or when we drop a new video. So subscribe and turn on the notification button as well. So okay, once again, thanks for being here with us.
My pleasure, sir.
All right, so we'll go to the next question, and people have asked me about proof of funds. What is it, and can you talk about what people need to have in their accounts?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about my experience too about proof of fund and what it is actually. So the proof of fund is basically the minimum amount required for an applicant, spouse, and if they have any dependents, right, to come to Canada. Or like I said, the minimum. You could have much more. You have to declare this amount though, but it's the minimum required, and it changes over time based on, there's something they call low income cutoff and all that, based on the economy itself, how much would a family of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 be able to survive on. So that's basically what the minimum proof of fund is required for anyone thinking of immigrating to Canada. Like my experience too, when I was planning to immigrate, I was thinking if you have land, and frankly speaking, a lot of people do these mistakes. They don't know that certain fixed asset, it's yours, it's genuine. You have the C of O, you have the all documentation, valuation by real agent, real estate, is it Akintola, Akinjide something? That's I've forgotten the name now.
I think I use them.
If you want them to evaluate a company, what the asset is, what blah blah blah, you're thinking that yes, those should actually show your proof of funds. No, it doesn't. Those assets don't count. So basically, what the government of Canada tend to count as proof of fund for immigration purposes, it's basically funds that are accessible, like right now. For instance, cash at bank, treasury bills, stocks that you could get immediately, not other assets like that. So it varies, like I said, from one person to the other based on the number of family members that you have. I think for an individual it's about 12,960. For a family of 5 is actually 27,315, depending. So the more people, the more the amount is. And I know for dependents also, for immigration purposes alone, the Canadian government, they changed the age limit of a dependent under the immigration law from 19 to 22. 21? I believe it's 21. 21. Yeah, that's what it was changed to. I think this was 2017 also that it was changed. 21 or 22, I believe. They actually increased the age from 19 to 22 to be precise. This was in 2017, yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. And, those are, valid points. Especially thinking that landed properties and things like that, those things can slow you down.
I mean, it's something that they take very seriously when it comes to immigration, right? My advice to anyone out there, try and they do this so that they don't want a situation whereby people they come in and immediately go and rely on government benefits and welfare. They believe if you're immigrating, at least for a couple of months, you should be able to survive on your own and all that, and not really put too much pressure on the system and on fellow, residents here. So it's a mandatory and very important fact of immigration. Also, yeah.
Well, that's good. One very interesting thing happened to me about this proof of fund, but not at the federal level. So even though I will share this, remember I said not at the federal level. Don't think you can do what I did, what I want to explain at the federal level. They will be very strict. But the way I came was not that someone supported me. It was what they call
exploratory visit.
Yeah, exploratory visit.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, it's quite long. So you have to come and explore and
see if you like it.
See if you like. They will do an interview for you. And when I got the invitation to come, I was in school in Italy. And I need to prove to the province that I have the fund before they can nominate me. Now, I was in school, I wasn't working, my family was back in Nigeria, so I needed to show proof of funds. I had land and cars and other things that I can show, but then it would take time to even sell them. And I didn't want to sell them because I wasn't too sure.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't working, I didn't have a lot of money. So I needed to pull money into my account to show. So I reached out to friends. Unfortunately, I think because I wasn't working then, people were scared.
Exactly. Should I do this?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you pay back?
In fact, there's a guy that borrows, that is like a lender. And I asked him to put the money in my account. I will pay higher interest, no issue. Lock down my account because he work in the bank where my account is. But, he gave me stories because he didn't know. Like a date when I was supposed to leave, I didn't have the money. I reached out to my brother in the UK. He sent some money to me, but he was in transit, so I couldn't even show it in my account. Now, I was worried that day because that was like the last day. But I remember a friend of mine, one of my very close friends, in the MBA program, he said something, he said, "Can you help anything that is happening to you right now?" I said, "No, there's nothing I can do." He said, "Then why are you worried?"
Yeah.
He said, "You booked the ticket, you just go, And I went and I presented it the way it was, and actually they gave me. And why I'm sharing this story is because you're talking about proof of funds, but it's also for people sometimes, when you are ready to, don't wait, don't worry too much, do your own work, do the best you can do. After doing the best you can do, with faith and prayers to God, I'll push through. When I started, it wasn't that I was sure of everything, that I would get everything, but I started somehow, and today I'm here. So just start, you can never know what will come, the miracle that will come.
Yeah, things will definitely fall in place.
Yeah.
Once you're focused, and like you said, once you're focused, determined, once you persevere, don't worry, just do it and things will fall in place.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, our next question will be on what they call CRS score. I feel it's very important, right? When you're applying for immigration. Can you talk about this a bit and maybe various ways you think people can improve this score?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Now, like, what I'm going to talk about is basically general knowledge also, right? It's something, if you do research on, you could also get. And I did mention about the express entry earlier on that was introduced by the Canadian government for immigration purposes in 2015, January. The CRS score basically means comprehensive ranking score, which the government used to pick people into, everyone is in a pool, basically. Like you want to apply, you do your application, you send it into a pool, unlike what the US have, which is like a pool, then you do the raffle draw, they pick people out. But the Canadian government have several factors put in place, which they tend to look at, and that factors give you a bottom line score. You put that score into a pool. So the ranking system basically scores you, and from that pool, they pick people that would be taken, into the process of immigration itself. Now, you getting approved from this score doesn't mean automatically you're going to get the permanent residency too, right? Yeah, there are also administrative and checks that will be done. The score basically, once taken from this score, gives you an invitation to apply, and you start the process itself. So, filling the application goes into this pool. The comprehensive, basically everything that you put in is scored, and the government picks a particular score number from that system, and they process those applications. So that's how the comprehensive ranking score system works. Now, modifications do come in, policies do change, but the score factors also varies based on the policies and what the federal government, and the provincial government are looking at when it comes to what they need, what's the focus going to be, what economic needs that they have. So it's dynamic, it evolves. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Okay, this will be like second to the last question, I believe.
Okay.
What are the things that you think people need to prepare or get ready, for their application? So they've been thinking of, I want to apply, I'm ready. What are the things that they need to prepare? What are the important things, that you think would be a big factor to their application?
For me, right, the biggest thing to prepare is your determination to say, hey, I want this, right? That's just the number one part. I want this, right? Once you show that determination, you show that eagerness and desire too, like you said, things will fall in place. The next thing is to start doing your research, start seeking information, right? You will find them. You will find all sorts, but at the same time, you should be able to shift out which is actually true and which is, like they say now, fake news and all that, right? So, determination, look at the channel that basically suits you. Is it provincial? Is it federal? If it's provincial, what aspects of the provincial nomination, you understand, basically helps? Once you get that, if it's experienced class, if it's skilled, if it's trades, you basically determine, okay, I want this based on my profile. This is who I am. What are the aspects? There must be something that basically would fit in your category. So you gathering all the materials that you need to get into that process is up to you. But bottom line is to actually have that mindset. That's the most important thing first. You might have the mindset and I will do it next week. I will do it next month. Oh, I have to go to school and get my transcript. I have to get this document. I don't have time to go to Lagos. Several challenges. Yeah, we do understand, but you don't have to get tired. Like I said, my process took me about 2 years. I had to travel to my school, in Abuja to get my transcripts. I had to travel back and forth. I can remember the challenges I went through. But look at, I'm happy I did all that now, because if you are saying, hey, I'll do this, no one's going to do it for you. No one is going to do it for you. So that's an important part that you need to put together. Get that desire. See what you can, your profile, what best serves you, your family. Then, channel and chart your course.
Wow. Thank you so much. I really, really like that, and I believe so much in that, which is said the most important thing is determination. And I tell you, there's nothing that you can compare to that. Short story, for a long time I didn't, think I was going to leave Nigeria, even when my friends were doing some of this processing. But in 2011, unfortunately, they robbed the bank where I was working, the branch.
Yeah.
And it was, they came with all sorts of rifles, they led me at gunpoint to open the vault. And I was lucky to even be able to open it because I couldn't find the key.
Yeah, imagine if you had panicked.
Exactly. When I saw only one key. instead of 2. I didn't know the combination at that point. I just tried that only key and it opened. If it didn't open, after opening, they asked me to carry the, the money to their car, to their van outside where they were shooting, so after that experience, I knew that, I for the sake of my family, for the sake of I can't allow them to live in that kind of environment, So I knew that I was going to come then. I knew that, no, not coming to, but I knew that I wanted to leave Nigeria anyway. And so the first thing I thought was to go to school. So a year after or thereabout, I went to school in Europe. But one thing happened, I have a friend, like I said, I hope, I'll bring him on this forum as well. Then he started pushing me to try Canada. And he was really pushing hard because I was, dilly-dallying, like you said. So they said, okay, let's prepare your application. So we prepare. And remember, I came through exploratory visit. You have to send your resume and application to them for them to invite
you over to come,
Then we sent it. I remember later on, I discovered that they actually closed receiving application on the 8th. I think we submitted February 8th. We submitted February 7th.
Imagine that.
I tell you. So if we had waited for like a day,
imagine that.
And that stream, they closed it for like 2-3 years after we did ours. So determination is key, take the time, push it in if you want to.
That basically still comes to what we said earlier, right? Yeah. You need to act now. Don't procrastinate such things, right? Your case is what I would call saved by the bell. Imagine if it was on the night.
Yeah.
It would have been a different story, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
Wow. So if you want to do it, do it. Thank you so much, Kay. Once again, it has been an exciting time. I wish we can continue, but I know we still have other sessions that we'll do with you. I mean, it's been an exciting time for me. So, but before we go, I want to ask: is there any other thing that you'd like to add, or advice, or to give to our viewers?
Well, my advice. First of all, I want to say thank you to Boston for inviting me over to share my experience, my journey so far in Canada. And like I said earlier, on a scale of 1 to 10, I score it an 8. It could have been better, but nothing is perfect, right? So it's been wonderful. I learned a lot. My situation changed. Thank God, give all the glory. I thank God for the friends that I have, and also for the support they've been giving, because it's a different thing where, like, I came to Canada with nobody, like no family member whatsoever, no uncle, no auntie, nothing. It's been awesome, right? So if I can do it, I don't see any reason why anyone out there too can do this, right? It's starting a new chapter, a new life. So many things would you would have to adjust, you have to let go. My journey so far has been beautiful. I'm ready to share my experience. If you need help, any information, guidance, contact Bosun. He would basically help out. Basically, he's here to support, people out there. And I wish everyone the best. And please take care, do what you need to do. Do not waste time, and stay safe.
All right. Thank you so much once again, Kay. And thank you everyone for joining us once again. This is another episode. We'll be coming to you soon with other important messages and tips and tricks and things you need to know about Canada. Like I said, don't hesitate to reach out to me, ask your questions, through various forums. Although I will appreciate if you can ask more through the channel, so that other people can learn as we respond as well. I've spoken with quite other people. An architect who is doing well and said he will be willing to share his experience and what people in that area needs to know. So if there are specific area that you want us to touch on, I will be willing to do so. Thank you so much once again. And as Kay said, do what you have to do. Keep believing in yourself, keep the determination high, and stay safe. God bless.